So I'm gonna keep it quiet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show some videos. I'm just gonna show some videos of food for thought. Uh, these are just opinions and stuff like that. So I'll be in and out of the chat. I'm also making dinner. I do watch your stuff, and you get so many people in your chat. Sometimes if I say hello or something like it, you don't see me, and that's okay because you're busy, busy, busy. I appreciate what you're doing. You're doing a good job over there. But as far as these videos, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just trying to express my opinion of some of the stuff that's going on here and how it's out of control and how we need to take a look at some things and nothing really. Justin, I'm glad you're here. It's a different topic. You're always working on something. But I'm glad you're here because everybody knows you and we know your lifestyle and everybody most of the people that know you love you. So my issue is with some of this transgender identification stuff that's going on and how it's getting out of control and there's expectations put on other people that are not necessary. And I was looking for videos where actual transgender people uh, felt the same as I do. So I wanted to play a couple videos. There's some on my community post. Uh, yeah, and just for clarification before I start, I have absolutely no issue with people who are homosexual who are attracted to the opposite sex, and there are ways to be a proper heterosexual and a proper homosexual. I don't have any problems with any people that I believe that people can be attracted to the other sex and just live that way and not try to force anyone else to see things the way that they do. No problem. Like say Robbie's, he's one of my best, he's one of the best people that I know. Justin and I get along, but he's not pushing, he's not pushing what makes him happy on someone else. So it's just that when people demand that anyone else see things the way they do, uh, or there's repercussion for it, that's where it gets wrong. We have other transgenders like Caitlyn Jenner, who is speaking out against the women in sports, this thing with the sports. They're speaking out against it. They're doing it properly and politely. We're not trying to offend anybody. Yeah, live and let live, and I understand that. We're not trying to offend anybody. I'm not. I'm not. If someone wants to call me transphobic, well, I guess they might be right because I am in fear of my little girls going into a bathroom and a man in a dress with a beard walks in there behind them. That's so. That makes me fearful. So if you want to call me transphobic, well, yeah. But do I hate these people? No, I don't hate them. I'm not going out of my way to affect their lifestyle. But it seems like I've seen it. I've seen it. Some transgender people are going out of their way to affect someone else's lifestyle when because I identify as somebody who can clearly see. Now, like I can see Justin and I can hear him, and we know right away, he's a pretty man. We know right away that he's a gay man. I can see that clearly, right? So I know what that is. Right. And I can accept that because he's not pushing his happiness, his lifestyle off onto me. I could go hang out at a club with someone like that, like Robbie, but I couldn't go hang out at a club with Justin if he had a dress on. I couldn't do that because if he wants to do that in privacy, or if anybody wants to do that in privacy or at home, a little role play, that's fine. But I couldn't support that because I know Justin's a man and he likes other men. He's not trying to be a girl, even though he's got some qualities that are feminine. That's okay, but he's a man. It's like Save Robbie is a man. That kind of sexuality is easily acceptable to me because nobody's trying to push that on me. Like Justin knows I'm a straight guy, so he's not going to offend me in any way because I would, if a gay person is flirting with me, yeah, I mean, it could be off putting to me sometimes, but I understand it. So he doesn't never has never done that. Robbie has played around because he knows I'm comfortable with it, but no, he's never behind the scenes tried to because they know. But these transgender persons that are pushing it outside of their thinking and their gender identity and pushing it off onto other people, uh, no, just be happy. If I No, I don't think you don't act at all like you want to be a woman. You act like that. You act like someone who probably in your youth knew that you were attracted physically to other men, and you went with that, and it's working for you. Look, you have a wonderful life. People like you. Your sexual preference really doesn't come into play a lot. The only reason I'm speaking to you so freely about it now is because that's what I'm talking about. But otherwise, if you and I are on a panel and we're talking about true crime, I don't think, well, there's Justin, that gay guy. I think there's Justin because you're not pushing. That's kind of private, like what me and my wife do. In our relationship to bond or whatever we do physically. I don't speak about that. I don't talk like that, and that's the way it should be. I think this transgender stuff should be a little more private and a little more based on the person that's having that crisis that they're working through, and not on other people should see them that way. You should see me this way too. No, because that's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. If I know that someone is a man, I could kick it with Mallory, but if I know that someone is a man and they are trying to convince me that they are a woman now, even with the surgery, my stance is no. You are a man that wants to be a woman. That's my stance. If you have the surgery, in my opinion, without being nasty or anything, that is not a vagina. That is a wound. It's now a wound. Okay. And I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in real 100% women. There's like us smokers know there's a difference between Marlboro and Kentucky's Best. And I'm not trying to offend. I'm not. I could get along with anybody who does what they want, even if it's strange, odd, and stands by doing what they want without forcing me to accept what they are doing as something that's sane. In my opinion, a man walking around in a dress with a full beard, you can see it looks like a half man, half woman. They got on different types of makeup and they kind of look like a clown. To me, that's insanity. That's insanity. And it needs to be dealt with. Why do you do this to yourself? That's what needs to be dealt with. Like if to me, in my opinion, I've never been in a situation where I felt like I was anything more than a man. But if I was, if I was a man, and this is what God gave me, but I felt like I was attracted to other men, or I felt like a female, if I felt girly, I would want to go to a therapist that would lead me to accept what I've been given and run with it. So I could still feel maybe female, but I have a male body. I have to go with what I've got. Just like if somebody chops off one of my freaking arms, I have to work with what I've got left. Yeah, finish your work. But anyways, I'm gonna play a few videos. I'm not gonna talk too much. I'm making some chicken parmesan, which is the feminine side of me, because I like to cook and clean and all that crap. But I also have alpha side. So, but I identify as a person who can see. And for anybody that wants, if we're now being able to be called whatever name we want, I would like for people to refer to me as Daddy. But anyways, this first video, this is transgender. This is a full transgender woman, Blair White.
Reacting to woke TikToks. And I personally love this segment because it's fun, it's easy, and it's real. So, Liz with TikTok tweeted us out and said, "We have a serious mental health crisis in this country." So, let's see what she's talking about.
I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about it. So, trigender and the way you identify in it can be very heavily based on your culture and your cultural background. For example, I know in Hawaiian culture, there are three genders. There's a third gender. I forget what it's called. I'm sorry, but if you happen to be Native Hawaiian, you could identify as that.
You think you would like Google that before you get on camera running your mouth? You got on camera to run your mouth about how there's three genders in a certain culture and you couldn't even be bothered to research what it's called to prove it? Girl. And I can't with the this I mean this woman is clearly damaged. Like the makeup, the flag behind her. Like if you're an audio listener, she has made trans her entire identity. Her eyeshadow, her lipstick, her earrings, her room. I mean, that is just sad. That is just sad. I remember a time, first of all, this isn't trans. That's the first thing. But if we're going to talk about trans, it's like, I remember a time when like transition was the gateway to living your life and then being normal. Like that was the entire way, not to get off on a tangent here, that was the entire way I even perceived transition when I began, which was like, okay, I have this effed up thing happening in my brain called gender dysphoria. I can't leave the house. I can't participate in society. I can't get a job. I can't do anything because it's just that crippling. So I'll transition. And then after that, I actually became a productive member of society. And that was the key to letting me know it was the right decision for me. It's like you don't make it your identity. You do it and then you move on. But of course, like I said, that's a whole other tangent because that's me. That's an actual trans person. This is not trans. This is trigender. You are crazy, ho. You're crazy. I saw a funny meme and it was like white people be seeing that they're ugly and suddenly they're non-binary. And can we talk about how that's real? Because I've never seen a hot non-binary. Have you? I just feel like more times than not, it is someone who I don't care. People can get mad. Is very like aesthetically not pleasing, and it's kind of easier to just be like, well, everything's effed up anyways. Let me just eff it up more and dilute my gender identity more. Like it's just like a whole thing.
As that third gender and then man and woman. Or if you happen to be, from Native Hawaiian background
Are
and
you?
on the other side you have a different background that also has a third gender, you can identify as those two non-binary genders. And then take your pick if you want man or woman or not even another non-binary gender.
Oh, another one. It's so funny because it's a wrap for trans stuff, and I say that as a trans person because there was a time when like people would joke about things like this, like, "Oh, I'm trigender. Oh, yeah, you're trans. Well, guess what? I'm trigender. Guess what? I'm a attack helicopter." We are now at the point where you actually do have to respect if someone identifies as attack helicopter. It is not a joke anymore.
She's just putting it.
That's where we're at.
See, there's a difference between that kind of
Trigender.
transgender.
Go, you're trying me,
There's a big difference.
and you're trying it.
She just
That's
wants
what
to
you're
feel
feeling.
love. She doesn't demand that you.
But all in all, it comes from your cultural background. So for me, I come from a very heavy Dutch background and American background. So
You're free.
for me, it's more based on
You're
if
free.
there's man on one side, woman on the other, and non-binary is somewhere in the middle, and then I take up that whole area, the whole bar there.
And the guy that's
So
in
you
the
take up the
chat,
whole area.
Justin for all, he's a true crimer. See him over there?
That was mean.
He's
See, this is it ropes me into just being mean, but it's like, you know,
married to a doctor.
screw me. I'm not mean.
He doesn't.
I'm defending my life.
They don't
Like,
act like that.
I'm sitting here as like a trans American. I really have to put up with
Creepy.
Bethany here
Creepy.
from Wisconsin
Fake.
talking about how she's tri-gender and making actual trans people look like a joke. No, that's way more offensive than me making a
And
fat
like
joke about Bethany.
even if I put
Sorry.
that person out somewhere, like I was.
And I know for a lot of people, non-binary is a completely separate spectrum, and that's just not my experience, but I still think that that's a valid experience to have. It all depends on your experiences and your personal history, you know? I hope
No,
this answers your question. Let me know if you have any more questions, and I'd be happy to answer them.
girl, talk to your dad, please.
They wouldn't know.
I know this is literally just stemming from a lack of a relationship with your dad. That's all it is. Give him a call. I'm sure he'll be forgiving. Just fix your relationship with your dad. And I promise you won't be tri-gender anymore.
I feel like
Amen.
that's a man.
Next.
What I
Oh
tell
my God.
you, man. That's a man.
This one is a mess.
I know.
Male TikToker is practically in tears after getting pushed back from a woman for using the women's restroom. I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Well, this is just lovely. I had a neighbor confront me for using a women's restroom. I lived here for 4.5 years. Everyone should know that I'm a trans woman. I've always been known as Kaylee. I've always used she, her pronouns. I've been having stomach issues because of Trulicity, and I had to use the bathroom real quick. And
Could you be
No.
closer? Like,
No.
everyone should know I'm a trans woman with the beard and all, with the hairline all the way in the back.
That's
like
it.
Rosa Parks on the bus.
Check out what she says right now. Let me
Really?
stop this for a minute.
Everyone should know you're a trans woman.
All right, check this out. Check this out. This is a trans woman, right? This is actually a man who felt like a woman, had the transition done, and is happy with that. Doesn't need to wear weird clothes, doesn't have a beard. That's all woman. If you didn't know, that's all woman. There is a big difference to me in this type of transgender. Like, and I'll give an example. Like, Mallory doesn't push that stuff on people. Mallory's happy being Mallory, right? But it's these type of people who, this gentleman says that he feels like a woman and wants to be a woman, but doesn't have a couple minutes out of the day, even a couple times a day, to remove this manly part of them. Can't even shave. Now, if you really felt like you were a woman, you would not want that shit on your face at all, ever. That's my opinion. My opinion is real trans, respectable trans, a person that I know is a man but is living as a woman, as a respectable, civilized woman. Fake trans, using it to get attention because they're ugly. Sorry, not sorry.
And you can't even be asked to shave a beard. Women have to give up their spaces to you, and you can't even be asked to shave your beard. Like, this is why people this is why people don't like trans people. Like, it's
And to be quite honest with you, this trans woman right here, that's very attractive. There's nothing manly about her, except for I know that she was born a man. If this person made this type of exceptional transition and never told anyone that they were born a male, that would be the best way for a trans person who really feels like a different sex to be that. they call it their dead name, then that means you know, because if I saw this, if I was single and I saw this woman out, I would buy her a drink. I would talk to her. She wouldn't talk to me, but I'm just saying. but but if we were dating and that person said, "Well, I used to be a man," I would respectfully say, "I can't do this because I know you used to be a man." And what am I? The skin that I'm putting my hands on when I touch your shoulder is man. It's all man to me. And I'm not trying to be offensive. That's just me. But if she didn't say, I'd never know.
One of the lies of trans ideology is that anyone and everyone can be trans in the sense of like
Listen,
somebody lied to her. Quote to quote the famous Tiffany Pollard, someone lied to her and told her that she could live as a woman. It's a cruel lie. It's not fair to this person, actually. There's this idea that transition is right for anyone who feels that they want to do it. And it's like, no, if you are 6'2" and a linebacker with a beard and a hairline all the way in the back, like Rosa Parks on the bus girl, transition is not right for you. You're not going to alleviate any gender dysphoria. But then again, I don't think this person has any gender dysphoria because the first thing you do, speaking as someone who had it, is you get rid of the beard.
yeah, there you go.
And if you can't be bothered to make that bare minimum effort, why should anyone else put the effort in to convincing themselves that you are not a threat in a bathroom? You look like a threat. I would feel threatened with you in the bathroom, and I'm a trans woman. I would not want to be in a bathroom with you if I saw you walk in with that beard and that hairline all the way in the back, like Rosa Parks girl. I would get shook. I'm kind of shook right now.
And they're single-use bathrooms, and it's the only place that I feel safe using the women's bathroom. Well, I got done and got out, and this girl was talking to another neighbor and started pointing out the sign. I knew exactly what she was talking about because there's a big old woman sign. And I'm like, is there a problem? She's like, yeah, you're using the woman's restroom. You're a man. And I said, I'm a trans woman. She's like, no, you're a man. And she kept saying it over and over. And she kept saying, you're not a she, you're a he. You should man over and over.
Isn't that a good looking woman right there, y'all? Wouldn't you want to just take that out and knock the dust off of it? Everything about her. This one is a woman, right? Everything about it. Yeah.
Over. And honestly, just lost it. It just lost it and just started screaming and I just couldn't handle it. This is my home. This is my safe.
So you started screaming, like, you are the problem.
Oh,
Kevin, you are the problem. You're screaming. You're verbally assaulting a woman because she felt uncomfortable with you in the bathroom with that beard and that hairline all the way in the back, like Rosa Parks on the bus, before she moved up to the front. Though we're also glad that she did. But initially she was in the back and she got sick of it. You should get sick of it. And you should do something with your transition. Like, people really don't realize they're the problem. It's like if you're disrupting a woman's bathroom and then you want to be screaming at people about it, you're the problem.
that's right.
A safe place. I should be able to use the restroom. The apartment knows I'm trans. Everyone knows my name's Kaylee. And then my group of friends that I thought my friends were all starting to yell at me saying I escalated and because she had two kids. I didn't even see the kids. They were there and I just lost fight or freeze and I
So you're also freaking out kids. It's not just women you're disrupting in the bathroom, it's kids. And even your friends are telling you you're the problem. You're the problem.
That's right.
It would be a cold day in hell if any of my friends didn't have my back in a public argument. If I was ever beefing with someone on the street and my friend fixed their mouth to defend that person over me for any reason, my beef is with you now. Because that's just so gross. So if your friends are willing to do that, then you really are the problem. Sorry. And Also, doing this to kids. It's like, what a despicable person.
freeze, and I thought, I don't know what it's like to be a trans person. And then my one friend started yelling at me, and none of us stood up for them. When none of them stood up to me when this person kept calling me he, she, he, man, like triggering and awful. Like I deal with enough on here. Like my apartment should.
So, again, going back to what I said earlier in the podcast, as you get older and more mature, you're able to put yourself in other people's shoes. And so I would ask this person, I know they're incapable of it, but maybe your presence is triggering and awful to women in the bathroom. You don't know what the women in there have been through in their lives. Do you think, like, pe- I know I'm talking to a wall here, but like, a lot of women go through shit. A lot of women have been through things in their life and in their past and have been harmed by men. And like, it can be like a shock to the system to be in a space where you think it's only gonna be women, and someone with that beard and that hairline all the way in the back, like Rosa Parks, walks in, and you're gonna initially just feel threatened, especially in the closed quarters of a bathroom with 1 inch, one way in, one way out. Like, I would not feel comfortable with you in the bathroom. That should tell you something. None of your friends defended you. That should tell you something. My God. And it's just so crazy because it actually is in society a bare minimum to have people just be cool with you, right? Like most people live their lives wanting a problem, wanting to be upset by a stranger, wanting to have beef or have an argument. So like, even at the very, very early stages of my transition, when no surgeries, maybe like a week of hormones, like whatever, it's like there's been no actual feminization that's taken place yet, but it's like I clearly, even if I was getting clocked on the street, I was getting clocked as a trans person, not as a man, in the sense of like, oh, I can tell that that is a trans person, but they're trying. And no one was ever cruel to me. And I used the bathroom because it was clear that I was not in there trying to hurt anyone. I was clearly in there like whatever. Look like a convict. You look like a convict. Cue the Akon sound effect. Like, that's what you look like.
Like my apartment should be a safe place. There's nothing safe for a trans person. There is nothing safe for a trans person. This is the life, and it fucking sucks. And even when you have your friends don't have your back. And then my one friend Annette just starts screaming at me, and I'm like, start screaming back at her. I'm done. These are fair weather friends. These are not the friends that I need, want, and deserve. And if I can't find it here, I will find it elsewhere. So I don't know. I'm so fucking triggered and feeling.
I would say those are real friends who are able to see what's up, but I can't. Professors are teaching students that the term American citizen is a radicalized term and associated with whiteness because America was built on white supremacy. Gross. Tell me you are in your second semester of gender studies without telling me you're in your second semester of gender studies.
Scott also said something that really struck me that I feel like should have been super obvious that I just had not like connected the dots on before. And that is the fact that the term American citizen is like a racialized term. It's associated with whiteness, whether we want it to or not, because of the way that white supremacy is so like intricately bound with the foundation of the country that we call America. That when you hear the word American citizen, the first thing that comes to mind is a white person. And what's crazy is I have this super
Says who? Because I can genuinely say when I hear the term American citizen, I don't actually think of a white person. Like, I'm pretty sure this person looks comparably my age, maybe a little younger, but I'm pretty sure we grew up in the same school system that taught us about America being a melting pot. And when I think of the American citizen, I actually think of everyone. I think of like the hardworking, like Mexican Americans.
I have Caitlyn Jenner's statement too in video too about the women and men in sports coming up.
think of like Black Americans. I think of, yes, white Americans, but I think of like the Asian salon owners. Like, I think of everyone. So again, whenever these like woke whiteys come on and they tell on themselves. It's like she's speaking about her own racism. It's like these are thoughts that you have, baby girl. These are not thoughts that everyone has. Like these people need to learn how to speak for themselves. If you're one of these woke whiteys, come on camera and say I'm racist. Like say what you are. Don't speak for everyone because that's just not it's not the tea. Next. Oh my god, this person looks like Humpty Dumpty. White non-binary people are still privileged because they can call out people who misgender them while black non-binary people can't. Okay.
I think that a lot of white non-binary people think that when they start to identify as non-binary, that their race is to cancel out. And at the end of the day,
See, my thing is this: I don't want anybody calling me a cis male or a non-binary. I don't want anybody calling me any of those other fucked up gender types of shit. I am a man. I don't want nobody. If somebody calls me a cisgender male, I'm offended by that because I'm a man. And I absolutely refuse to call a single person standing in front of me they or them. I'm not doing that. You may get a she out of me or a he once in a while. And I'm slightly against that, actually, because then I'm contributing to their gender identity crisis. I think that people who are in crisis, like this transgender woman right here, is not in a crisis. This person felt like a woman and became one. There is no crisis. I don't want somebody to come up to me one day and say, "Hey, I'm a snow shovel. You need to refer to me as a snow shovel." I'm not going to be like, "Yeah, you really are a snow shovel. Come on, let's do the walk here." I'm not going to do that. I'm like, "You are not a fucking snow shovel." And if somebody that is a woman or a man tries to convince me that they're otherwise, and they want to argue that with me, my stance is, were you born with a penis? Yes. You're a man. Were you born with a vagina? Yes. You're a woman. That's it. That's the end of that argument. The fact of the matter is, and this is a very good point, two good points that I've been listening to because I've been researching this. I want to know how to deal with this stuff. If you have a set, if you have two full skeletons that are 150 years old, you can just by looking at those bones and analyzing those bones find out if that was a male or a female. You can tell that's a male or a female by just looking at the bones. That's why I stand on the fact that you're a man or a woman because you actually are. Another scenario that was very interesting that somebody brought up is if, let's say, the man that was on here a little bit ago with the beard is unconscious, rushed to the emergency room, and they're working on this person. And they come out of their unconsciousness and say, "Oh, I'm having a miscarriage." Would you, as a doctor, based on just looking at that person laying in front of you, telling you they're having a miscarriage, would you check to see if they're actually having a miscarriage? And if you wouldn't, why not? Because you know it's a man. It is so funny to watch these transgender people be asked what a woman is, as if they know. The only persons that know what a woman is are people born with vaginas. That's my opinion. Call me transphobic, call me a bigot, call me whatever the fuck you want. I identify as a person who can see. I can see.
you're still white, and I don't think y'all understand the intersectionality of oppression, like identities. Like, what the fuck? And I'm not saying that your queerness, your identity is not valid, but a lot of y'all like to weaponize that shit. And it's kind of crazy because Black women cannot do the same when we're misgendered. Nope. Even before I came out as non-binary, I was still misgendered as a Black woman. And that's wild because it's y'all, white people, who created this whole binary.
I feel really bad for individuals that have been so duped by this lived out shit.
I
that
will not be
they
duped.
really do view the world like this. Like, you can say a lot of things about this Humpty Dumpty person, but you can't say they're lying. This is really how they feel. They really view people in this hierarchy of oppression. This is literally the oppression Olympics. Like, cue the freaking 2015 Chew on Head video. Like, this is the oppression Olympics. And it's just so sad, you know. Here's how you know that issue just isn't real. So I come from, y'all know I don't come from the best background. I had like a hard life growing up. And many people don't know, but I have a brother. Many people don't know that. But my brother and I, because we grew up in the same home, had the same opportunities to be successful, really. I mean, in many ways, he had more actually. You know, I'm trans, he's a straight male, you know, and if you look at my life and his life, we've taken two completely different directions. He's been in and out of prison for my entire life, you know, drugs, you know, just bad, bad, bad choices. And there's not enough to be said about that's what life is. Life is choices. I had every reason to be the person who was in and out of jail and on drugs. I'm like, I had every reason to be like a tranny prostitute on the side of the road, like every reason, right? And yet that's not what I did because I didn't want to make those choices. And for me, it's like any ideology that tells you that your hardships are based on your skin color, you're non-binary, you invented that, or you know, your gender identity or your transness, which is real. It's like that ideology is your enemy. That ideology is keeping you in shackles, and that's what they want to do. You can make your life whatever you want it to be at any time, always. You can invent the life you want. You can pull something out of nothing. You can move up in life. And it's like, I just feel bad for people. I genuinely act makes me kind of emotional that this person is clearly miserable. This person clearly sees white people and like they see white people as such the enemy that they even view like white non-binary people as the enemy because they're white even though they're non-binary. It's like the mental gymnastics is real. And I just feel bad for them, you know. Hey, if you guys enjoy from the podcast, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel as well as my main channel and watch the full episode, which will be somewhere on the screen.
Okay, hold on. We'll go somewhere else. Real quick. Go to my community page. That's my community page on that video. And then here we have, I grew up watching Bruce Jenner, so but I know it's Caitlyn Jenner.
Turn your low energy into big fitness energy
Well,
at
like
Planet Fitness. Now through 10th, join for $1 down, $10 a month.
US superstar Caitlyn Jenner is the world's most famous trans person, a TV icon, thanks to her appearances on shows including I'm a Celebrity and Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and most importantly, a voice of reason. And having won an Olympic gold medal as a man, she has a unique and invaluable insight into the war on women's sport. Hot on the heels of the controversies gripping swimming and cycling following the respective dominance of US athlete Leah Thomas and Brit Emily Bridges over their biological female competitors, perhaps the most egregious sporting injustice yet has sparked even more outrage over the weekend. So look at this. This is Julie Valentino, a member of an LGBTQ plus Gaelic team as a transgender woman, towering over female competitors in a ladies' shield competition. The athlete is reported.
Jada, I made some chicken parmesan. You want it? Nicole, you hungry, girl? Stuff is done. I'll make you plates.
To have played sport for over 30 years and joined the team after being injured in rugby. The club, which states its members can play in the team they best identify with without restriction, ultimately won their first ever trophy in Dublin last week. Not surprising, despite the attempted intervention of a referee over Valentino's presence in the final. The Ladies Gaelic Football Association has announced it is developing a policy on transgender players in response. But what's becoming increasingly clear and worrying is that any sport can be infiltrated by trans athletes with minimal opposition, the only attempts at reform coming after the dreams of biological women have already been dashed. And Caitlin, it is great to have you back on the show tonight. I mean, we've seen some response from sporting bodies such as FINA and the Rugby Football Union who have banned trans athletes. But when you see a photo like that showing, you know, someone who, by all intents and purposes, looks like a big burly bloke competing against a team of women, I mean, something's not working here, right, Caitlin? Something's not working.
No, it's definitely not working. Yeah, the woke world has kind of tried to take over this issue. I've been very consistent from the beginning, over the last couple of years, that I don't want biological men competing in women's sports. It's just not fair. And I've been very open about it. And obviously, because of Leah Thomas, I did a lot of speaking on it. I did a lot of lobbying on it to try to keep it fair for women. And we won that battle. FINA, who's the world organization that governs over swimming, basically banned him. Their new rules are, if you don't transition by the age of 12 years old, you can't compete in women's sports. And what they realized is it's not so much your hormone levels that are, you know, have to be right, but it's if you went through puberty.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually, Dan, you may be shocked, but I went through male puberty.
What?
Okay, so yes, I did. I went through male puberty, and I was strong. I was 6. Thank God, I'm down to 6'1", and I can still hit the ball. I'm 72 years old. I can still hit the ball 180, 100 or 280, 290 yards. Why? Because my arms. Yeah, my arms are long. You know, my legs are long. You know, I'm quick. I can still do those types of things. So, I mean, just because I transitioned 6 ago and a full transition, and yeah, there's still a lot left over there. So, to be honest with you, it has to be fair, and it has to be fair for women's sports. Women have worked so hard here in the United States with Title IX. For fairness in sports, equal opportunity in sports. And then the trans community comes in. And to be honest with you, the woke world is trying to mess this whole thing up. And I want to protect women in sports. I mean, that's the bottom line.
It is. It is. Look, I just want to show you, Caitlin, what Leah Thomas and Emily Bridges have said about this so that you can respond directly. So Leah Thomas wants to compete at the Olympics. This is what she told ABC.
Experts say the effects of higher testosterone during male puberty may never be fully erased.
There is this concept of the legacy effects of testosterone, and that can't ever be zero. Should that eliminate or disqualify transgender women?
There's a lot of variation among cis female athletes. There's cis women who are very tall and very muscular.
Are there Olympics in your future?
It's been a goal of mine to swim at Olympic trials for a very long time, and I would love to see that through.
But what would you say to Leah Thomas, Caitlin?
Well, it seems, you know, in listening to her talk, it's all about her. It's all about her. It's not about what's fair in sports. It's she has a tremendous advantage over the girls. I mean, bigger hands, cardiovascular system is bigger, went through male puberty. all of those things. She just has a tremendous advantage, and it's just not fair. And to be honest with you, this is bad publicity for the trans community. I mean, it really is. It makes the trans community look selfish, self-absorbed. You know, Leah Thomas even said, well, if you accept me as a woman, then that means you have to accept me as a woman athlete. No, that is not the case. We don't have to accept that. And it's just not good publicity for the community. I mean, honestly, I know so many trans people that are just wonderful human beings. I mean, just doing great things in life. But you know, this is a difficult issue. What about, you know, female athletes? A lot right now. But number one, we have to keep it for, you know.
Indeed. So there's the British trans cyclist Emily Bridges, essentially our equivalent of Leah Thomas. What she has to say.
I don't want special treatment from anyone. I just want the same opportunities as my fellow female athletes.
They make the point, they believe that you even competing against other women cyclists is unfair. I
can understand how they're feeling that way, especially athletes that I've grown up with, because I feel like because they haven't seen me much, they still view me as the same person as I was pre-transition. So they will still see me as with the performance I had then, which I don't have that performance anymore. My performance has decreased massively.
And the issue with that, Caitlin, is that Emily Bridges was competing as a man just a few months ago and had a time that was 2 minutes faster than the top British female athlete in the equivalent event. So if she was to compete, she wouldn't just beat the...
Okay. So it's time for me to eat, but what I wanted to say was when we have other transgenders and the most popular transgender speaking out against the way that this is being approached by some of these out there freaks. They're just freaks, some of them out there. I mean, if we can't understand it from hearing it, quote unquote, from the horse's mouth, then, you know, what will we listen to? But this is dangerous to the future generations. I think what we have in front of us is a lesser evil where they're putting this kind of nonsense right in front of our faces so that we can normalize this type of bullshit. It's never going to be normal for a man to walk into a women's bathroom to me. Never. It's never going to be normal for somebody to ask me to call them they. It's not. That's not normal. At any rate, I need to eat dinner, and you all have a good day, and just be kind to each other. You know, this is not a hate thing. This is not a bashing thing. This is reality. This is dangerous to our future if we start to accept things that we can plainly see are not what they are and confirm to that. It's just dangerous. Have a good night.